Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my review for Final Destination 5, the final film in this 5-film franchise. This is probably going to be a short review, it must be said, and the primary reason for that is that, quite frankly, if you've seen the rest of them, you pretty much know what's coming. I've said this time and time again. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's essentially it with this franchise. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do the same thing again. Hope nobody notices, I guess. The only thing with each of these films, I guess, is how well do they do that, or how entertaining do they make it? And I gotta say that for the most part, this one pretty damn entertaining, it must be said. So yeah, again, like I say, starts with a big disaster with a bunch of characters who all look like they were pulled off some CW show. The disaster turns out to be a premonition by the main character, who then proceeds to get the rest of the team out of said disaster, only for death to then stalk them throughout the rest of the film, killing them off in some of the most gruesome ways. And yeah, like I say, that's it. We've seen it all before, 4 times before, and we're seeing it again. This one, though, doesn't pull any punches. I think out of the 5 films, this has easily, for me, some of the gnarliest death scenes, some of the bloodiest. And it's also got the single best action set piece of the bunch out of the 5 movies. So in this one, it is a bridge collapse. And the special effects work on it is pretty, yeah, it's impressive, must be said, compared to some of the stuff from the previous ones. They go all out on this one. And yeah, like I say, very grisly at times, like a moment in it when all these kind of poles, these metal rods kind of come down and go through this guy's face, and his eye sinks as a result, and then he drops off the building, splats on the concrete. It's grim. It is, but it's so over the top in the way that it does its death sequences throughout that it becomes highly entertaining, and you can't help but laugh uncomfortably at times. I don't know if that makes me a weird freak, but hey ho, there you go. But yeah, like I say, with the previous film, The Final Destination, or Final Destination 4, depending where you're from, those sequences were dull. And because of that, the whole film just became really boring. This one, it nails those set pieces. It nails those death sequences. And it makes them highly entertaining. One involving a ballerina who does this kind of flip, gets distracted because of some of the things that death has set up, and goes splat in the most painful looking of ways on the floor. Her whole body falls over. It like kind of crumples over, snaps in half. It's disgusting. And every time I see it, I go, oh! Because yeah, that's what it should do. That's what the death scenes in these films should do. They should make you have that kind of reaction. It's nice to see Tony Todd make a return in this film. I never particularly warmed to his character in the other films that he was in. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess it feels nice to have that continuity, to see him make an appearance, even though he's still a creepy ass dude who, yeah, I think it makes a bit more sense here, although I do have to question the validity of this guy having involvement in so many of these disasters, and there not being some kind of connection made with the number of cases that there's been of, yeah, premonition followed by everyone involved dying, and this guy seems to be there each time as well. Even so, it's still nice to see him. I will say that the majority of actors across the board in this film are pretty bad. So Nicholas D'Agosto, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who plays the lead character Sam, he is, yeah, he's bad. He's really bad. Very wooden indeed. Some of the expressions that comes on his face kind of ranges from mild surprise to something else that looks like Mild Surprise. I'd probably say that PJ Byrne fares the best, but that's mostly because he's turning in a more comic performance. He's being the kind of out and out douche. He goes a little bit against the stereotypical douche, which I did like about the film, in the sense that he's not a pretty looking guy. You know, he's not the most handsome of people. He just looks like really as average as it gets. But he's so full of himself, so full of self-confidence, that he thinks he can charm the ladies. And that in itself is quite amusing. Whereas, you know, like with the 4 film, the grade A douchebag was someone you can imagine women wanting to sleep with. This guy isn't, and that kind of adds to the humour of this guy. Miles Fisher kind of comes off as a very young Tom Cruise. He really does kind of look like Tom Cruise, but with huge bushy eyebrows and, you know, half the talent. The lack of acting ability on the whole, though, does kind of add to the film's charm. It brings it down to that B-level roots where it should be, where this franchise deserves to be, I guess. So having these kind of second-rate actors in these roles, yeah, it adds to the charm. I will say also the score for this is a lot better. Now, it is the same composer as The Final Destination, the previous film. I wasn't sold on the score during that film. You know, they changed it from Shirley Walker. Shirley Walker sadly passed away. So they went with Brian Tyler, and I didn't think he did an amazing job on it, but I think that may have been director's input as well. It just, yeah, it seemed like a really second-rate heavy metal kind of track going on. He goes a lot more orchestral, a lot more back to the franchise roots with a particular style of score. And I like it a lot more. It works a heck of a lot better. I like the climax to the film. I like that this one character kind of goes off the rails. You know, it's the death of his girlfriend, the one who was the gymnast. It weighs heavily on him, and the possibility of death encroaching on them all is weighing heavily on him. And he takes some pretty drastic action as a result of that, and it leads to him becoming an attempted murderer. Well, a murder in one respect. I think he does kill someone at the end, if I remember correctly. It's been a few days since I watched it. These films are pretty forgettable, to be honest, as that kind of clearly shows. But no, I do like the climax. I like that he and Sam kind of have this fight towards the end. It gives something of a more physical kind of villain to face off with at the end, whilst death is also kind of working his way in between them. You don't know who's he going to kill, how's he going to kill them, and they're in this big kitchen, so yeah, anything could happen with all kinds of cooking utensils and deep fat fryers and this, that and the other. So yeah, I like that ending. And I also really like the very ending, in which we're suddenly tied into the first film, and we realise that actually this is now the first film in the franchise from a chronological order. So yeah, that was a nice touch. I liked that. It was fun to see. Although I do think that the plane takes an awful long time to explode. You know, when you go back and you watch the first film, I watched the first film not so long ago. I've watched all these in order pretty recently. And yeah, that plane does, it blows up pretty quick after takeoff, you know, when it finally gets up there. Enough to still have the force to blow out the windows at the airport. So in here, when we go there, into the plane at the end, I just think it'd be miles away by now. There's certainly no way it's blowing out any airport windows, put it that way, with the shockwave. But yeah, so a few timing issues there that are not quite off, even though they do tie it into that first film. So I like it, but they maybe could have done a better job of it. So I don't really have anything else to say other than that. You know, if you like the other films, I think you should like this one. I think that because it does hinge on those opening set pieces and the deaths, and these really does nail it. And there are some fun characters here. Again, more caricatures than characters, but ones that I can have some fun with. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch. I give it a 3 out of 5. No film in this franchise has ever got more than that from me, but that that's pretty much what this franchise is. It's a solid 3-star franchise that you can have fun with. And yeah, that's exactly what this film is. It's quite a ride, but probably a forgettable one once the credits have rolled. So yeah, there you go. Okay, 3 stars from me, but what about you? What do you think of this Final Destination film? Would you like to see more? You know, do you think it's a franchise that might be worth resurrecting in the near future? Comment below, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and until next time, cracking.